off reserve, it's really important that we conserve our and protect our traditional land territories, as a lot of our territories used to overlap each other. So we need to do that for the next 7 generations to come. With protecting that, it will also sustain the environment of Canada as well. So it's a shared responsibility. And it's important right now to have that conversation for that nation-to-nation relationship building. And land is very important, whether it's on reserve or off reserve. However, specific things such as medicines or cultural sites or ceremonial sites mean a lot to us as First Nations people. It's part of our nationhood, but also it's just a strong part of our culture. So with what ICE is doing right now and Canada Target 1, it's for our advantage to utilize this opportunity to protect these areas for the betterment of the future and the next 7 generations, but also for all of Canada as a whole. Well, now's the time for the youth. Now's the time for the youth to engage and work with knowledge keepers of their territories or their communities. There's so much knowledge to be passed down and shared, and it's up to us and our generation to, our ancestors and our elders have been through a lot, and from fighting for our rights, for fighting for our lands, for establishing what we have today, that we're most communities are very privileged to still be, to have so much opportunity. So it's up to us as young people to not only just become educated in the Western world, but also to become educated with our own knowledge keepers within our communities. And all those, every community is unique and every community is different, but there's so many things to be passed down, and language is very key. That is something that is very key to the land as well. So ensuring that we keep our language and keep these traditions and these cultural and ceremonial things alive, and continue practicing, because even with treaties, we have hunting and gathering rights and all those things, and we still need to keep practicing those rights. It's important for us, because that is our culture and who we are as, it identifies us as people. So it's up to the youth today to carry that forward for the next 7 generations, because the 7 generations ahead of us are the ones that have endured a lot. So we're very fortunate that we don't have to go through what they went through, such as residential schools, such as massacres that happened back in the 1800s, or disease. There's so many things that our ancestors went through, where today it's all about relationship building with all Canadians, and it's important for us to keep going forward and moving forward, so we still have our culture and our identity in the future. Everybody's in Canada is a treaty person. We're all signatories to it. The treaties are meant for the land to be shared, so it's a shared responsibility. Treaties can be interpreted different ways, and they have been interpreted different ways, but now is the time to actually acknowledge and implement the treaties. So that's I think is an important role for our generation as well, is helping acknowledge these treaties, but also to implement them in every aspect of what we're doing. I think treaties are also very important to everyday Canadians, because without those treaties, Canada wouldn't be Canada. And the treaties are the highest form of law. Only a nation can get into a treaty. So that respect for First Nations and all across Canada, with Canada and the Crown, needs to be more taught in schools, more every Canadian needs to learn more, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to land and resources and people. And it doesn't matter what kind of instruments are in place or whatnot, the treaty's still valid, this treaty's still there, and it will be for a very long time. So it's time for us to all acknowledge as Canadians that we're all treaty people.